You probably know someone who hates their name. I knew some freaks growing up with the name Brayden or Jacobson, but none of those names could have matched the disappointment you would feel to wake up in your mother's arms with the last name of Farto. And most people today would lose their minds if everyone began to call them Bum Farto. Little Johnny Farto earned his claim to fame as a little boy who spent most of his childhood at the fire station. He hung around the fire station, making friends with the firefighters, and would do various odd jobs to help them out. And in return, he asked them for money. This is where he got his nickname Bum, because he was freaking bumming the fire station. When Bum Farto grew up, he joined the firefighters force, and through the next 20 years, he eventually worked his way up to the ranks and became the chief. He became a well-known, eccentric man, always seen dressed in fancy suits or other various forms of swag. On his tie, he wore a little golden fire axe lapel. He always wore a lot of gold jewelry, and he was frequently smoking very expensive cigars. He drove a 1970s Ford Galaxy, lime green. The windows on this car had a 500 tint. They weren't just blacked out, they were reflective. On the front was a golden eagle, and on the back, his license plate number wrote El Jefe, which means the boss in English. For a fire chief in the Key West of Florida, Bum Farto was living in style, but he was not the man he seemed to be. There's not enough substantial evidence to declare that Bum Farto was an official mob boss, but his life paints a pretty nasty picture. In 1966, Bum Farto was accused of misappropriating city funds, potentially pocketing money from the city. The city council sought to remove him permanently, but a civil service board overturned the verdict, and he was only suspended for 30 days. It just so happens that his nephew was also on this service board. Small world after all, right? Wrong. Bum Farto continued his career as fire chief for another 10 years, but then he was arrested again during an undercover operation called Operation Conch. This was an operation hosted by the Dade County Organized Crime Bureau. This time, for Bum Farto, his actions would not be swept away. For now, he was charged with trafficking cocaine and marijuana, and he was doing it right outside the fire station, like an idiot. He traded drugs to a cop in exchange for jewelry, like an idiot. You always do cash, right? The evidence was damning to him. He was convicted in under 30 minutes. Bum Farto's bail was set at $25,000. Today in 2026, that's about $140,000. So yes, inflation is really real. But he also faced up to 31 years in prison, but he would never make it to his cell. Bum Farto's Ford Galaxy had been impounded, so he took out a rental car. He told his wife of 21 years that he had to leave for urgent business in Miami. Bum Farto walked out the door, and she never saw him again. Bum Farto's rental car was then found abandoned in downtown Miami. A small manhunt began, wanted posters went up, and an arrest warrant was put out in his name. But there was never a trace of Bum Farto. He was never seen again. He was gone. In 1986, Bum Farto was legally pronounced dead so that his wife could collect his insurance. And that is where the case remains today, legally dead. But the mystery never died. If you were living in Key West during the time of his disappearance, you probably saw this t-shirt, "Where's Bum Farto?" These shirts were worn all over as a joke or as a novelty, and Bum Farto became a local legend. These shirts are actually all over the internet still, 50 years later. Most of these are slop websites that will probably steal 3 generations worth of your personal information. But still, this just goes to show the cultural impact that Bum Farto left. Not to mention there is some gay musical about him. If Bum Farto was still alive today, he would be 107 years old. We don't know where he went. We don't know if he died, how he died, where he died. But if anyone has any information, please let us know in the comments below.